Welcome back once again. Good evening to our cherished promotion candidates. And tonight, we'd like to bring you another valuable, important information to help you pass your promotion aptitude tests. And wherever you're joining me from, you're most welcome once again. And it's a pleasure once again to share with you another important information. But don't forget to give your thumbs up to this video or your like to this video. If you haven't subscribed, try as much as possible to subscribe. And thanks to those who have, the few of you who have supported this live tutorials. I'm most grateful to all of you for your support. And it's a pleasure always sharing with you something that will help you pass your promotion aptitude test. I want to see the few who have joined us in the comment section. If you can hear from me, give me a yes or give me a thumbs up if you can hear from me. Let me hear from you in the comment section. I will continue to appeal to those who have not supported us. The line is just there. Kindly try and support us. It's very important. Supporting us will always give us the opportunity to bring you something new all the time. And that is why I've put my line there for you to contribute your support, your likes, your comments, and your resources that you use to support us. It's very important. We are most grateful. If you have not supported yet, the Momo line is there to show us the support that we need to bring you valuable information to pass your promotion aptitude test. Today we are going to dive into a very technical area that most candidates struggle to answer these questions or answer questions on these areas. And that is why I've taken my time to explain some of the concepts that will help you pass your promotion aptitude test. And it's a pleasure of meeting you once again. Today we're going to be looking at one of the technical areas, that is evaluation. Then we look at the times, we look at the purpose or the purposes of evaluation. Then we also look at the main forms of evaluations. We look at the interrelation between tests, measurement, and evaluation. Then we also look at the differences. And you need to be very careful with this area. So that is why I'm appealing to you to stay calm and go through this. There's no way you are going to fail on this aspect. That is why I've taken myself, I've gone through a pain to prepare something very important for us to learn and understand the main concepts or the main technicalities when it comes to the promotion aptitude test. So the forms, we look at the quantitative evaluation, and also look at qualitative evaluation. We look at the tools of the quantitative evaluation, and we also look at the tools of the qualitative evaluation. And it's very important. Stay tuned till the end of this video and you will never regret of joining this. If others have not joined yet, you can alert them to join us for this technical area. Very important. So let's set the ball rolling. And before we set the ball rolling, give a thumbs up to this video. And if you have not subscribed, just click on the subscribe button and subscribe. It's very important. And keep your support coming. So we're looking at evaluation. Evaluation, assessment, tests, measurement. You meet questions from these areas. All the ranks, whether it is PS, AD2, AD1, DD, you are going to meet questions from this area. So it's very, very technical area that educators and teachers need to learn something about this area to help them pass the promotion aptitude test. And not passing the promotion aptitude test alone, but use them in the classroom or use to improve learning, teaching and learning in the classroom. It's very important. So we're looking at evaluation as some will ask, what are some of the types of evaluation? And I'd like to pose these questions to the candidates. Write some of the types of evaluation in the comment section. Just about 30 seconds. Write one type of evaluation that we have. I keep on saying forms, I'm saying types. One type of evaluation that you have come across as a promotion candidate, and the pleasure to share with you something that is important. So what is evaluation? Evaluation is done in a classroom, it's also done outside the classroom, and it's very necessary as teachers we get to know, educators we get to know this. So when we talk about evaluation, it simply means the process of making judgment about something's value, the quality, the importance, or the effectiveness of that thing. So making value judgment about learners' performance, the quality of it, the importance of it, and the effectiveness of the evaluation. So in many fields, evaluation is done. So you can talk about the education field, you can talk about business field, you can talk about health fields and other fields. Evaluation is done or is used to assess the progress, the performance, or the outcome to see whether the objectives or the goals of the organization is being achieved or are being achieved. So in many fields, evaluation is done. It is done in education, it is done in the health, it is done in the business worlds, and even the political field evaluation is done. When a party loses its election, it comes out, evaluate, analyze issues, what caused their loss or what caused their success in that field. So evaluation is done in many fields, and in education, it is also done. And it is very important that we look at the aspect of education. So in education field, what is evaluation? So in the educational field, evaluation is a systematic process of collecting and analyzing information about the teaching, about the learning, the progress, to decide or to make a value judgment about how well goals, objectives are being achieved or are being met. So in education field, is it a systematic process? Is it a thorough process that is taken through to collect data, at the same time analyze the information or analyze the data? The data is a raw information taken, a raw data taken. Then when it is converted um, into different things, it becomes information. So um, information is being systematically collected, analyzed about the teaching, the learning, or programs in education, and it is used to decide or to make a value judgment about how well the goals or the objectives of the educational goals are met or are achieved. So when we talk about evaluation, it is about analyzing data. And first of all, you collect the data, you analyze it, then you make value judgment about the teaching and learning or a program that is being run in the school to see whether the goals are met or the goals are achieved. So that is what we have in education. So it needs a thorough analytic unit, and it is very important that we analyze the information and make a value judgment. So evaluation is about making value judgment about the information that you gather, you analyze to see whether the objective that you have set is being achieved. So it's very important. Now someone will say, what are the types of evaluation? Do you have types of evaluation? Yes, we have types of evaluation. And the first type of evaluation is formative evaluation. Formative evaluation. And how is formative evaluation done? Formation evaluation is done during teaching and learning process or during instructional process. It is done during teaching and learning process. While teaching is ongoing, evaluation is also taken through. So evaluation, formative evaluation here is done during the teaching and learning process or the instructional process. While teaching and learning is going on, learners are being evaluated, teaching methods are being evaluated, teaching strategies are being evaluated during the teaching and learning process. So some of the examples of the the formative assessment are: one, quizzes or oral assessment during teaching and learning. While you're teaching, you ask questions and you get responses from the learners. You evaluate them to see whether they are coping with whatever you're teaching. That is it. So assessment and teacher observations are examples of formative assessment. And these things go on while teaching is in progress. So what is the purpose of formative evaluation? One of the key purpose of formative evaluation is that we use formative evaluation to monitor learning progress and give feedback for improvement. So the main reason why we use formative evaluation while teaching is ongoing is to monitor the teaching and learning. Then it gives a feedback, it gives you a reflective results to able to improve upon the teaching and learning or to improve the learners learning. So the formative evaluation is done to monitor and to monitor learning progress and give feedback for improvement. So if you evaluate the learners, at the end of the day, you get a feedback. If the feedback is positive, you keep on working. If there's a negative attached to it, then it means that you need to improve to help your learners. Now, the second one is summative evaluation. Summative evaluation. What is summative evaluation? Summative evaluation is done at the end of a term, a course, or a program. Summative evaluation is done at the end of the term, the course, or the program. You can give examples like the final examination, the end of term tests, standardized tests, WASI, that is the final exam is talking about WASI, semesters exams, or mid-sem or mid-term. These are summative evaluation. Summative evaluation is done at the end of the term, at the end of the course, or at the end of the program. And we can talk about final exams like the WASI. We can talk about the final exam like BEC. These are summative evaluation. And let's look at the purpose behind or the purpose of summative evaluation. So the summative evaluation is to judge the overall achievement of the learner's learning or the program that is being run in various institutions, various educational institutions. So the purpose is to make a value judgment about the overall achievement, the overall outcome of the learning. That is the main purpose of summative evaluation. As we look at formative evaluation, its main purpose is to monitor the learning, the learner learning and give feedback, or the progress of the learning and give feedback. And the summative evaluation, its purpose was to make a value judgment about all the learning process at the end of the year, or at the end of the course, or at the end of the program, or at the end of the term, or the final exam. So its main purpose is to make overall, to judge the overall achievement of the learners or the program that is being run. Now, the third evaluation is diagnostic evaluation. Diagnostic evaluation. When we go to the various hospitals, we are being diagnosed. The doctor takes us through a test before they are able to find the cause of our sickness and prescribe medicine for treatment. So diagnostic evaluation here, it is done before or at the beginning of the learning. Diagnostic evaluation, it is done before or at the beginning of the learning. So when you enter the classroom, you want to teach or you want to start your instructions, you evaluate the learners, and some of the examples are the pre-test that you give to the learners, the pre-test or entry assessment. Entry assessment are examples of diagnostic assessment. We said it is done before or at the beginning of the lesson. Why do we do this? What is the main reason of doing diagnostic assessment? The main purpose is to identify the learner's strengths, the learner's weaknesses, and the learning difficulties that learners are passing through, so that you find solutions to their problems before the lesson begins. Or it will give you a clue about the learner's strengths and the learner's weakness, the challenges that the learners are facing. Then you prescribe or you tailored your methods and teaching to their learning abilities and their learning strength. So it is very important. Now, the fourth a type of evaluation is placement evaluation, placement evaluation, or admission evaluation. We have placement evaluation or admission evaluation. It is done before placing a learner in a program or a class. It is done before placing the learner in a program or a course or in a class. So for you to test that this learner can do science, this learner can do this, you need to test the learner to see if the learner is capable of going to that course or can be placed in that classroom. You need to use admission evaluation or placement evaluation. So it's very important. And we can look at some of the examples like the entrance exams that um, students go to when they are going to the colleges of education or nursing training. Those evaluations are placement evaluation or admission evaluation. Prospective candidates or prospective learners are evaluated or examined or assessed before they are placed in the various programs or various courses before they start the course. So in some nursing training or colleges of education or some universities, you need to write common entrance exams, or you need to write um, a test to be evaluated and see your strength before you are being enrolled into that that program. So we have a placement evaluation. Then the last evaluation that we have is a continuous evaluation. Continuous evaluation. Continuous evaluation is done regularly throughout the learning period. The learning period. So while learning is ongoing, at a particular point in time, learners are evaluated. So when you go to the basic schools, the class tests that we organize weekly or we organize termly, sorry, we organize monthly, these are examples of continuous evaluation. These are examples of continuous evaluation. So it is very important that we know this. So the purpose of continuous evaluation is to provide a comprehensive picture of the learner progress. Its main reason why we organize or we go through continuous evaluation is to know or to get a clearer picture of the learner's progress or the learner's achievement throughout the learning course. So that is why we organize weekly quizzes or tests like projects, works, class participation, and practical work. These are examples of continual evaluation. So have it in mind. Now let's look at the main purposes of evaluation. Why do we need evaluation in our various institutions, or why do we need to do evaluation in our various schools or various educational institutions? That is what we need to know. One important about evaluation, or one main purpose of evaluating our learners, educational programs, courses, and the rest is that one, to assess the learning outcome. We need to assess the learning outcome. So one important of or one purpose of evaluation is to assess learning outcome, the learning results, what learners have gone through. you need to assess and see if there's a positive outcome or negative outcome. So under this, show how far learners have achieved the learning objective. And the evaluation also helps to identify the strengths and the weaknesses of the learners. These are under the point one, that is to assess learning outcome. So when you assess to see the learning outcome, if the learner's strengths are indicated, you know it. If their weaknesses are exposed, you also know it. So it's very important. The second important or the second main purpose of evaluation is to guide teaching. To guide teaching. The evaluation that we do, it guides the teaching that we are doing in our various educational institutions. So under the guidance of the teaching, what evaluation does is it provides a feedback to teachers and educational educators about the effectiveness of their methods of teaching. So it's serving as a guide. When it serves as a guide, it provides a feedback to teachers, at the same time educators, about the effectiveness of their teaching and learning methods or strategies. So evaluation helps the teachers, the educators, to adjust their strategies to improve learning in the classroom. So the second purpose of evaluation is to guide teaching. The first one is to assess the learning outcomes. Now the third one is to improve students or learners' performance. The third one is to improve student or learner's performance. That is one of the key um, purpose or purposes of evaluation. And how does it improve students or learners' performance? Evaluation helps learners to understand their progress. If they come out with a good grade or with a good score, it it motivates them, it encourages them. So another thing that evaluation does under improving students and learners' performance, that it encourages them to put in more effort where there is the needed attention. So when you evaluate the learners and there are negatives or negative results or low results, it gives learners the chance to work hard towards improving. And when positive results also come out, it gingers the learners to work hard or to improve areas that they are lacking to improve in their learning outcome. Then we have the fourth purpose of evaluation is to aid decision making. It aids or it helps decision making. How does it help decision making, or how does it aid decision making? Evaluation provides information for decision making about the promotion, the placement, or remedial teaching. So when you evaluate the learners, it gives you information about how to make decision whether to promote a child or whether to place a child in a course that he will be able to do it, or if there are weaknesses in it, you need to revisit your teaching methodologies or your strategies. So you need a remedial teaching. You need to create a certain room for learners who are having the challenge to make up in their learning process. So it helps educators to make good decisions or to make the right decisions about how to promote um, learners or students in that same class to the next class, or it aids decision making for the educators or the teachers to place the learner in the correct course or in the correct class. And if there are challenges after the results or after the evaluation, then you need to organize remedial teaching or remedial classes for those learners. So it is very important. Then important, or the purpose number five is to provide accountability. It is another way to provide accountability as in the teaching profession. How does it provide accountability? One, it shows whether the school, the teachers, the programs are effective. So if positive results come, it shows that the school is making progress. It shows that the teachers are making progress. And it shows that the programs are very effective and need to be continued. And if a negative result comes in, then there is the need for the school to improve, the teachers to improve, and the program being reviewed for its failure. So it is very important. So still under the accountability, evaluation also justify the use of the time by the educators or the teachers. Then it is also justify the effort that has been put in running the program or helping the learners, and at the same time it gives or it justifies the use of the resources. So these are accountability aspect of evaluation. So you need to do evaluation to give you a positive results or to account for whatever efforts, whatever time, whatever resources that you have put in. Evaluation exposes all this or it justifies all this time that you have used, the effort that you have put in, and the resources that you have put in. These are accountability of whatever you have put in the learning. Now, the sixth most important aspect or purposes of evaluation is to motivate learners. It motivates learners. How does it motivate learners? When students see progress, they are encouraged to work harder. When they see a positive results, it encourages them, it motivates them, it gives them the vim, it gives them the vigor to fight forward and improve their learning. It is very important. Then the seventh one is to improve the curriculum and the programs. It improves the curriculum and the programs. How? It identifies areas of curriculum that need to change, that need to be updated, that need to be improved in the learning environment. So if evaluation has not gone on, how do you improve the curriculum or how do you improve the program? If evaluation is done, that is the way to give you the chance to see that these areas of the curriculum are having challenges and we need to improve, we need to update, we need to change to help learning go on in our various classrooms. So it is very important that we go through this to know um, these things. Do Let me look at these areas. Do tests, measurement, and evaluation have a relation at all? Yes, they have relation or they have a common ground that they work together. They have interrelations in their working or their processes that evaluation goes through. So I'll ask the question, what is the interrelationship between tests, measurement, and evaluation? They are all interrelated. These three terms are interrelated. Why are they interrelated? We get to know it. So when we talk about a test provides a raw data. A test is a tool that used to provide a raw data about a learning situation. A test provides a raw data, and when a data is being recorded or being collected by the test giver, what the test giver needs to do is to quantify what we call it the data. So the quantification of the data is taken through measurement. So measurement quantifies the data, or measurement converts the performance into a score. So that is why we're saying that you have used a test as a tool to collect a data, and that data needs to quantify into a score, and you need measurement as a process to quantify what we call the data that you have collected using the two tests. That's why we normally say that measurement is a quantitative description of a data. We use measurement to quantify the data that we have collected using a test. Then after we have quantified the data, we have given the data a score like 80 over 100 or 5 over 10. That is the quantitative description of a test score. The quantitative description of a test score is giving a text a number over the total number, like 5 over 10 or 50 percent or 50 over 100 or 70 over 100. This is the quantitative nature of the data. And you need to do a test. You need to use a tool test or a device test before you can get the data. And getting the data, you need measurement to quantify or to convert the performance into a score. Then when you have gotten your your scores using the measurement, then you need to evaluate, you need to interpret, you need to analyze and interpret the data. That is evaluation. So you one cannot be relegated or one cannot be left behind. After you have collected the data using a test, then you quantify it, you give it a number. Then after you have given it a number, you need to interpret it. You need to analyze it. That is evaluation. So they are all interrelated. The three of them are interrelated. Getting the test, getting the data using the test. Then after getting the data, you need to write it into number. You need to quantify it. And quantifying, you can get 5 over 10, you can get 50 over 100, 40 over 100. Then after you have gotten this quantified score, then you need to analyze it and interpret it, give it a meaning. So giving it a meaning is evaluation. So evaluation interprets the score to make a decision about the progress, the effectiveness, and the value of the test that you have conducted. So they are all interrelated. They are interrelated. The tests, the measurement, and the evaluation are interrelated. Please give this video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. It is very important. So they're having interrelationship. The tests, the measurement, and the evaluation. The first thing that you need to do is you have to use a tool to get your data. After you have gotten your data, you need to give it a quantitative description, and that is what you use measurement for. Then after you have gotten your quantitative description, or you have quantified the data, or you have quantified the score, then what do you need? You need to interpret it, you need to analyze it. And after you have analyzed it, you have to make a value judgment about the data that you have gotten. So first of all, obtaining your raw data. After that, you convert the raw data into a number, that is numerical value. Then after that, you need to sit down and interpret the numerical value or the number, and make a value judgment about the data that you have gotten. Does or do assessment and evaluation have differences? Yes, they have differences. And we are going to look at these differences, the difference between assessment and evaluation. Take your time and listen carefully, and you understand. And this the difference between assessment and evaluation. We also have types of assessment. The other day, we also look at assessment and its forms or and its types. Now, but today we are looking at evaluation. So, what are the differences between assessment and evaluation? There are vast differences. So have it in mind. The differences could be one, the meaning. One of the differences that you can, or one of the things that you can use to differentiate between assessment and evaluation is their meaning. Why? We said that assessment is a process of collecting information about a student learning skills or performance. That is assessment. Collecting um, information about the student's learning skills or the student learning, the student skills or the student performance. That is assessment. Collecting data, collecting information about the student learning, the student skills, and the student performance. That is assessment. But what is evaluation? Evaluation is also a process of interpreting and judging the information to make a decision. So the first one, that is assessment, you collect information about the learner's learning, the learner's skills, and the learner's performance. But in evaluation or in a process of evaluation, you interpret the data that you collect and make a value judgment about the information that you have gotten to make a decision in the process. So you can use the meaning of um, both the assessment and the evaluation to tell the difference. So assessment is a way of collecting information about the learning, the student learning, or the student skills, or the student performance. But when we talk about evaluation, that one is a process of interpreting and making value judgment about the learner's progress to make a valid decision whether to progress the learner or whether to place him or her in a right course. That is assessment. Then we can also use this. The second differences that we can also use is the purpose. What is the purpose of assessment and what is the purpose of evaluation? So we can use the meaning as one to differentiate between them. Then the second differences that we can use to differentiate between them is the purpose. So assessment, what do we use assessment for? We use assessment to improve learning by giving a feedback. We use assessment to improve learning by giving a feedback. But evaluation is a different thing altogether. We use evaluating to make value judgment about the effectiveness, then the achievement or the wealth of the learning. So we can use the purpose as the differences between the two. We use assessment to improve learning by giving a feedback, but we use evaluation to make decisions about the effectiveness, the achievement, and the wealth. So we use evaluation to testify whether the learning is in a good progress or the learner has achieved or the learner has not achieved, or to make a value judgment about the learning. That is another difference that we can use to differentiate them. Then we can also use a nature, the nature of assessment and evaluation to show their differences. So the first one we use the meaning, the second one we use the purpose, and the third differences that we can use is the nature. What is the nature of assessment? Assessment is descriptive. A describe is it is descriptive. Why are we saying it is descriptive? What has we used to ask the question, or we use um, um, assessment to ask the question, what has the learner learned? What has the learner learned? Or how are the learning progressing? How are the learners progressing? Or how are they progressing in the learning environment? That is a descriptive nature of assessment. But when we talk about evaluation, evaluation is judgmental. We use evaluation to judge. So while we are using assessment to describe, we use evaluation to judge. How? So the questions that may be asked is, has the student achieved enough, or have they passed whatever they need, whatever they have gone through, have they passed or they have failed? So we use evaluation to make a judgment. We use evaluation to make a judgment, but we use assessment to make a description. So assessment is descriptive and evaluation is judgmental. So have it in mind. Now, the fourth thing that we can use to differentiate them is the timing. The timing. The timing is the fourth difference that we can use um, to differentiate between the two. Assessment is continuous. Why do we say assessment is continuous? Assessment is continuous in the sense that it happened during teaching and learning. It happened during teaching and learning. That is assessment. Assessment happened during teaching and learning. But when we take evaluation, evaluation is usually done at a specific point, like the midterm, the end of term, the end of a program. So it is done at a point, but assessment is continuous. It does not stop. It continues. It moves on. It progresses all the time in the teaching field. But evaluation is done at a particular point. It is done at a particular terminal point. It is done at a particular end of term or end of the program. That is what you need to know as assessment. The differences between assessment and evaluation. Now let's look at forms of um, forms of uh, evaluation. Forms of evaluation. We have the types and we have the forms. There are two forms of evaluation that we have. One is quantitative evaluation, and the second one is qualitative evaluation. Qualitative evaluation and quantitative, quantity and quality. So we have the quantity of evaluation or quantitative um, evaluation, and we have qualitative evaluation. We are going to delve into it and learn something very important. It is very technical, but when we take your time, you follow us, you understand. What is quantitative evaluation? Quantity. When we are talking about quantity, we are talking about how many, how much. So, how many score have you given to the learner in the evaluation process? So, when we talk about quantitative evaluation, it is a process of assessing learners or program using a numerical data. a numerical data, using a number data. So when we're talking about a numerical data, we are talking about a number that is assigned to the learner during the evaluation. So it's a process of assessing learners or programs using a numerical data. And this numerical data could be the score, it could be the percentages that you have given to the learners, it could be the grades that you have given to the learners. Sorry. And it could also be the ranks or the statistics. So when we are talking about a numerical data, we are talking about the score. What score did you give to the learner? Is it 5/10? Is it 7/10? Or when we are talking about the percentages, is it 50/100? Is it 70/100 or 80/100? The grades that you have given to the learner, is it grade A, grade B, grade C, or grade D, or grade F? That is the grades. And when we're talking about the ranks, have you ranked the learner from the first to the last, or from the last to the first? That is the ranking. The statistics about the learning. So quantitative evaluation is a process of assessing learners using a numerical data. Numerical data could be a score, it could be percentages, it could be grades, it could be ranks, it could be statistics. That is it. So what does the quantitative evaluation focus on? Quantitative evaluation focus on how much or how many, rather than a description. It does not talk about description. It talk about how many or how much you have given to the learner. So examples. So when students scoring 80 in a mathematical exam shows the measurable achievement of the learner. So that is quantitative. When you are giving a percentage like 80%, 100%, 10/10, 7/10, these are the quantitative evaluation form. So giving a number, giving a score, giving a grade, giving a rank, these are quantitative example of quantitative evaluation. I know it's very technical, but when you sit down and you take your time and go through what we are saying, you understand it better. So, what are some of the tools that we use in quantitative evaluation, or tools that we use to assess learners quantitatively? One of the tools that we use for quantitative evaluation is one, a written test. Written test. And a written test, it could be an objective test or subjective test. What are objective tests? Objective tests could be in a multiple choice test. It could be true or false test. It could also be a matching test, a fill in the blanket test. These are quantitative test tools. When after testing, you give a quantity, you give a score, you give a grade, that is quantitative. That is the simple understanding. When you give test to learners, and after that, you give them a score, you give them what we call it grades, you give them ranks, you give them percentages. These are quantitative description, and we use a test tool like a written test. So tools that we can use to achieve quantitative evaluation is a written test. Written test could be in objective tests and subjective tests. So objective test could be a multiple choice test, true or false, matching, or fill in the blank. Then the subjective tests are the essay type of questions that we give learners opportunity to express their view. That is subjective test. Now, the second tool that we can use to achieve the quantitative evaluation is oral tests. oral test. Oral test by asking questions verbally to check recall and understanding of the learners. So that is an oral test. We do oral test while teaching is ongoing, and that is a quantitative evaluation. The third one is we can also use a performance test. Performance test is used in a practical subject like science, like creative arts, like technical skills area. These are examples of performance tests, like music and dance. These are performance tests. Like in the football field, these are performance tests. So you can use a performance test to as a tool for a quantitative evaluation. Then we can also use a standardized test. Standardized tests in this situation, professionally prepared tests with a fixed scoring methods are used. So standardized tests like the standardized achievement tests that are organized for the B4 and the B6. These are standardized tests. And we can also use WAEC as an example, WASI as an example. We can also use BC as an example of a standardized test, or IQ test. These are examples of quantitative um, quantitative evaluation. Why? They give a number, they give a score, they give a quantity, they give a grade, they give a percentage. That's why we say these are quantitative evaluation. Then we can also use questionnaire as a tool as a quantitative evaluation. And this one is a close-ended question. Close-ended question. It is structured with a fixed options that can be tallied and analyzed statistically. So have it in mind. These are tools that we can use for quantitative evaluation. We have questionnaire, we have standardized tests, we have performance tests, we have oral tests, we have written tests. These are quantitative evaluation tools. Now let's look at the qualitative form of evaluation. So when we talk about qualitative, we are talking about quality. We are talking about quality. We are talking about the best. We are talking about a value, a judge, a well of a test. That is the qualitative evaluation. So when we are talking about qualitative evaluation, it's a process of assessing learners or a program using descriptions, using observations, using judgment rather than numbers or score. Know when we said about quantitative, we're assessing learners based on the numerical data, based on the score, based on the percentages, based on the grades, and based on the ranks. But in the qualitative, it is based on description and not based on a score. That's why we say that qualitative evaluation is a process of assessing learners or a program um, using descriptions, using observation, and using judgment rather than the score. So qualitative evaluation, you assess learners based on the description, based on how you have observed them, and based on how you have judged them. And its focus is about the quality of performance, the quality of attitude, the quality of behavior, the quality of values, and the quality of skills. So these are the main focus of qualitative assessment. Qualitative evaluation. Qualitative evaluation. Its main focus is the quality of the performance of the learners, the quality of the behavior being displayed by the learner, the quality of attitude being displayed by the learner, and the values and the skills being displayed by the learner. So in this situation, it is not about the, the grades, it is not about the score that is given, it is not about the rank that is given, and it's not about statistics. No, this one, it is purely about the performance the learner displayed. It is purely the quality of attitude, the quality of behavior, the quality of values, the quality of skills that the learner put up. That is why we say this is a qualitative evaluation. What are some of the tools that we can use in qualitative evaluation? There are numerous of them, but we'll align about 4 or 5 of the tools that we can use in qualitative evaluation. One of the tools is observation. You observe, you watch it with your eye, you watch it while the learners are performing. So we use evaluation. The teachers watch the student behavior, the participation, the interest, and the interaction in the learning environment. So one of the tools that we can use in qualitative um, evaluation is that because we are not given a score, we are not given a grade, we can use our eyes to observe and see the performance level of the learners, and see the participation level of the learners, and see the feelings of the learners, and see the interest of the learners. That is why we say this is a qualitative description. The second tool that we can also use is interview. You can interview the learners or interview the students or the participants. So asking an open-ended question to learners, to teachers, or to parents to gather opinions, information, attitude, and the feeling of the learners. That is why we say it is a qualitative quality. You observe and see the learner displayed, you observe and see the parent gives information that you want, or the learner gives the information that you want. That is a qualitative evaluation. Then the second or the third tool of qualitative evaluation is anecdotal records. Anecdotal records. ANECDOTAL records. Anecdotal records. In this one, a very short written description of a significant incident in the learner's behavior or performance is recorded during the learning process. So in the learning process, you will write a brief information about the learner's behavior, the learner's performance, and use it to make a valid judgment about the learning. So in anecdotal records, a um, short and brief written description is given to the learner's behavior or the learner's performance in the process of learning. And we can also look at another tool that is also very important for um, qualitative evaluation. That is rating scale. You have been hearing rating scale, and you don't get the understanding. It's just simple. So instead of using numbers here, we rather use words like excellent, very good, good, fair, poor, fail in describing the learner's performance. So that's why we say rating scale. You rate the learner's performance based on these descriptive words like excellent, like very good, like fair, very poor, very weak. These are rating skills, and it is descriptive. You describe the quality of the learner's performance. That is one tool that you can use. You can use a rating scale. Rating scale are descriptive. You describe. Use excellent to describe the highest performance of the learner. We use very good, we use good, we use fair, we use fail, we use weakness, or we use poor in describing the learner's performance or the learner's skills or the learner's behavior. Now, um, the fifth tool that we can use in qualitative evaluation is checklist. Checklist. What is checklist? Let me give you a very simple understanding of a checklist. In anytime the month ends, women go to the market to buy items. But before you go to the market to buy items, you pick your paper and list items that you want to buy your things or things that you want to buy in the market. So you list all the items that you are going to buy in the market. While you're going through in the market to buy your things, you use the list that you have indicated. So the one that you buy, you take it. The one that you buy, you take it. You take it till you go through all the buying and selling procedures. After that, you go around or you go back and check the list. Which one have I not purchased? And it will be indicated on the list that no, I have not bought this. I've not um, gotten this item. So it's the checklist that will indicate whatever you want to buy. That is a simple understanding of the checklist. So in the checklist, in a classroom, we also use a checklist, and it's a descriptive way of getting whether the learner there's a presence of the skills or there's an absence of the skills. So checklist is used to notify the presence and the absence of the behavior, the presence and the absence of the skills, or presence and absence of the attitude. So if there is, you have given a list of questions and you ask the learners. So if the learner demonstrate these skills, you tick. If you ask and the learner is not able to demonstrate that skills, it means there is an absence of that skills. And after that, you compile your list and make your decision on it. That is a checklist. Now, number six is we can also use a case study. A case study as one of the tools as a qualitative evaluation. So detailed reports on learners' development, learners' strengths, learners' weaknesses, and special needs are quantified in this tool. You can use a case study. Now let's look at the seventh one. Well, the seventh one is portfolio. Portfolio. Portfolio is the seventh one. The seventh tool in qualitative description is portfolio. What is portfolio? So portfolio simply means that you collect a lot of student work over a time. You collect data, or you collect learners assessment, learners project work, learners creative tasks, and make value judgment about the growth and the progress qualitatively. So when we're talking about portfolio simply means that the learner has gone through a learning. Then you collect those learning tasks that you have given to the learner. Is it homework? Is it assignment? Is it exams? Is it practical work? You collect all those work that you have given to the learner and make value judgment about it. That is a qualitative evaluation. Then the last one is open-ended questionnaire. You know, we'll talk about questionnaire in the quantitative description, but that one is a closed-ended. This one is an open-ended questionnaire or reflective journals. You can also use reflective journals, or we use open-ended personnel to ask learners. So learners express their views, their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences in writing. This one, learners write. They write. When you ask them the question, they write. They don't just give you answers verbally, but they write to provide you a feedback. So they use the feedback to make value judgment. This is what you need to know about evaluation. So starting from the meaning of evaluation, when you come to the types of evaluation, you need to know all this to help you pass your promotion aptitude test. The purpose of evaluation is the most important, and the types, and you may face any of the forms, the qualitative or the quantitative evaluation. You may face any of them. Then the tools, the qualitative um, evaluation tools, quantitative evaluation tools. You may face them, or you may face the differences between the assessment and evaluation. At the same time, you may face the interrelations. They are interrelated, so have it in mind. This is what we have for you this time. We have spent about 1 hour 11 minutes, and if you go through this, you can be reassured that your success is on the way. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button, subscribe, and don't forget to support us using this Momo line on your screen. It is very important. Those who have not supported, please do so. I can see Andani Alidu. Thanks so much for what you have done. We are most grateful. Then Foster Adu Jemfi. Um, it seems it is similar to assessment. What is similar to assessment? Now, now let me get your reaction from the 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 topic that we have learned. Let me get the reaction from you people. Let me get, is, are you having a challenge in a particular area that needs to be addressed? Let me hear from you before we bring the lesson to a close. Then we come on either tomorrow or Tuesday for another one. If you have a challenge, you can let me know. But don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Like the video. Now let me tell you this. For the easy assessment of the video or the tutorials, always click on the link. Always click on the link. When you click on the link, it takes you straight to the live tutorial. But when you click on the video, it will wind, and you may not able to access it. So always click on the link that I always leave in the pages. So when you click on the link, it takes you straight to the live tutorial. So if there is nothing, then we'll call it a night and we shall meet. Don't forget, your support is very important. Those who have not supported, please, a few ones, only few ones have supported. We can get about 500 to 1K or 1,000 views on the video, but few have supported. It doesn't augur well. How do we get the resources to produce this quality of tutorials? It is not done anywhere like what I'm doing. It is not done anywhere, and even where they are not doing this, they are paying about, they are charging about 150, 200, 250 Ghana cedis. I'm doing this for free for you. So support us and let's move forward. It's very important. If you have any challenge, you can let me know in the comment section. Let us know in the comment section if you have a challenge about what we have discussed. Someone is saying evaluation and assessment are evaluation and assessment the same No, they are not the same. They are not the same. We said that we assessment is a process of collecting data to improve learning, but evaluation is a process of collecting data. After you have collected the data, you interpret the data, you analyze the data, and make a value judgment about the the evaluation and make decisions. Use it to make decisions about the learning outcome. So they are not the same. Someone, okay, Foster, good work done, bro. Thank you so much. God bless you. Then Rosemary, um, says, I want to get it. Let me put it on the screen. Let me show it on the screen. It says that case study, please go over again. Case study, right? It says case study. I should go over again, right? So case study as a quantitative, is it quantitative or no qualitative? It is qualitative. So the case study, we said that it's a detailed report on the learner's development. A detailed report on the learner's development, the learner's strength and the weaknesses and the special needs that you need to attend to the learners while you evaluate them. So anytime you evaluate them, you are writing a very detailed report about the learners' development, how they have developed, and how they have been able to demonstrate their strength, how they have come out with their weaknesses or their learning difficulties, or their special needs area that you need to solve a problem on them, or you need to make a good attention on them. So that is a case study. That is a qualitative description. So you write a detailed report on them and help them with their strengths and their weaknesses. So if you identify a weakness in it, either you can help them with the remedial classes, and if you have seen their strengths, you continue to improve upon their strength and their development. And if they have a special needs or special challenges, you need to address this. Thanks, Rosemary. I want to see another one. Sandra, is it uh, anecdotal? No, anecdotal. It is Anecdotal, not antidotal. No, it's anecdotal. That is Anecdotal. Then add the records. That is what. Let me see if I can write it in the comment section for you. So ANEC DOTAL, and L, this one, records. Sorry, let me clean this. Records. RECORD. What is this? What am I writing? Let me clean this. Let me clean this and add the records. Add records. My distance has 10, so the writing is ANECDOTAL, then add records. Anecdotal records is another example of it is an example of is it qualitative? Yes, qualitative description. So that is it. So qualitative description. Add more. Good. It has come. I've put it on. I've put it on this. Let me show it. Let me show it. There's it. So that is it. So we are spending about 1 hour, 1 hour 21 minutes. So like to end here, and we shall come back another time. Have a good night. We'll meet tomorrow or Tuesday. Keep your support coming in. God bless you for always coming to show up for this wonderful platform. I'm most grateful, and have a good night. Bye bye.